Torkelson's the highest impact bat in the class. The best amateur hitter I've ever scouted. I think Torkelson's got that chance to be one of those historical draft talents as far as the offensive impact goes.
I mean, he's got tremendous raw power that translates into games, and he broke Barry Bonds' home run record as a freshman. If his junior season hadn't ended this year prematurely, he was 2 home runs away from breaking Arizona State's all-time career home run record held by Bob Horner. And Arizona State's one of the very best programs in college baseball history. These were very hallowed records that he broke. You're talking to evaluators. I mean, you just hear so many superlatives. I had guys tell me that he could step straight into the big leagues. He's the most advanced college hitter they've ever seen.
You're looking at a 60 bat with 70 power as the upside, like 70 game power. So roughly translated, that's kind of the expectation of the guy to hit 330 home runs every year.
He's got a very short swing. He gets to his power without selling out all of his contact. He's got good pitch selection. He doesn't strike out a lot. He's performed at a record-setting level for 3 years in the Pac-12, 2 summers for Team USA. He's basically done everything he can do as an amateur to be the number 1 overall pick.
I mean, Pete Alonso is probably the best current comp. And obviously a guy who had a monstrous first year, and it'd be unfair for us to say we expect Torkelson to hit 55, 60 home runs as a rookie or whatever Alonso did. But I think that's probably the closest comp.
You know, defensively, probably a first baseman, but it's really not going to matter where he plays. The bat is so good. I'll be shocked if he's not a star.
In a normal year, he's probably a guy that gets taken and he goes and gets a handful of at-bats in Lakeland and he finishes the season in Erie, and by late 2021 he's knocking on the door to play in the majors. In 2022 he's a staple in your lineup, a guy you think you can put in the middle of the order and hit 30 bombs with a high average and high on base numbers. That seems like the type of guy the Tigers need in their system, in the organization, and he's going to be available over there for them at 1. You hear some of the same stuff you heard about Casey Mize coming out, like he's ridiculously dedicated to his craft. He knows his swing better than anybody else who can analyze it. With the additional stuff and the Tigers moving to more of an analytically based approach in their player development system and stuff like that, obviously that adds to the profile for a guy like Torkelson, no doubt.
Austin Martin of Vanderbilt, you know, we consider him, I think a lot of scouts do, the best pure hitter in this draft.
The barrel rate's high end. Obviously, you can see that he doesn't strike out all that much, but at the same time, the swinging strike percentage is right within the highest levels. I think the speed underway is a big metric for him. He's a guy who is an above average to plus runner, but once he gets going, he flies. But yeah, it's kind of all boxes checked positively for Martin, with the exception of just the power is solid average. He had a chance to play himself into unicorn status this year if he would have hit some more power. The early comp that hasn't really panned out, but there were some early comparisons to Alex Bregman. It's not awful. It's just, I don't think Martin's going to hit that many home runs. He's more of a jack of all trades type. The hit tool really stands out. The athleticism, the instincts, the positional versatility, all those things stand out. He never strikes out. He walks a fair bit. You're talking about a guy who we're still not sure where he's going to play defensively at the major league level. And some people view that as a detriment. I view that as, well, he's pretty good at a bunch of different places. So that's a good problem to have.
I think he fits best at second base long term. He's an above average runner. He'll show you above average arm strength. He's got above average defensive skills at second base and maybe even center field as well. He's also played some third.
I'll be curious to see who takes him, what they decide to do with him in terms of positions. And again, this isn't a normal year. In a normal year, he'd sign, end of June, beginning of July, play a couple months in the minors, and you could try to experiment. But I think that one's still up in the air a little bit. I mean, it's not out of the question somebody could try him at shortstop.
I think you're looking at a guy in a normal year who, finishes this season out in Double-A, and then next year at whatever point, whether it's mid-season or later in the season or whatever it is, then he's knocking on the door to the big leagues.
So Asa Lacy was a big high school pitcher out of Texas. He was a little bit inconsistent, and by the time he got to Texas A&M, all the sort of questions about, is the big-time velocity going to be here? Is he going to have knockout stuff, or is he going to have knockout command?
He sounded really interesting, but he just, he was, more kind of sitting around 90 miles an hour. The stuff wasn't eye-popping in terms of velocity, so he wasn't going to get paid, and he bet on himself, and he went to Texas A&M. And I did have a scout who loved him 3 years ago, and he has become everything this scout said he thought he would be.
He's big and left-handed and throws 99 and has a vicious slider. And part of that is because of how good the fastball is, that it plays off of the fastball well, and he tunnels both really, really well.
Both of them grade better than a 60, probably a 65 on the 2080 scouting scale. He's got a curveball he can toss in there for strikes. He's got a changeup that sometimes is plus, that he doesn't need to throw very much.
His start against New Mexico State this year, if you want to watch just domination, if you can find that and watch it, is the whole arsenal on display, throwing all of them for strikes. Just, he looked like a big leaguer playing in a little league game.
Lefty, starter, power fastball, power slider as the primary pitches, and I think James Paxton is probably the best example of that. It's not quite as strong as a comp. It's not one that everyone's throwing around. I will also say, and I'm hesitant to say this, but if you look back to SEC pitcher with big stuff, a little bit of an awkward delivery, but a chance to be a frontline guy, but all come together, that was the rap on Max Scherzer coming out of college. So that is sort of the trajectory of becoming an ace. That is on the table, which is why Asa Lacy is ahead of all these other pitchers in my rankings and other rankings, because that's on the table. There's like a better than 1 or 2% chance, and for most pitchers in this draft, it's a real long shot chance.
He's very good. It's been a while. We haven't seen a lefty like this in the last 3-4 years in the draft.